yourself to the court?
My name is Haley Floyd.
Can you tell the jury a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I currently live in Midlands, and I'm an accountant for Rock2World. Now, I know what they say about accountants, that we have less charisma than an undertaker, but I'd like to think I'm a little different than that.
Now, Miss Floyd, what qualifies you to be an accountant at Rock2World?
Well, I graduated from Wagner College, and after that I completed a master's degree in accounting from Midlands State University, and that was in 2009.
Now, Miss Floyd, how are you related to today's case?
Well, in regard to today's case, being the accountant at Rock2World meant I was involved in a financial investigation at the park during the summer of 2012. And I had the unfortunate fact of being in the ticket booth the day of August 30th when it was robbed.
Miss Floyd, will you tell the jury a little bit about what exactly Rock2World is?
Sure. Rock2World is a typical amusement park, not quite as big as, say, a Six Flags. This still has rides, games, good old carnival food.
Will you tell the jury how the admission system to Rock2World works?
Well, at Rock2World, customers, after they pay, are given a wristband. Once they wear this around the wrist, then it identifies them as being allowed into the park. And there are two different types of wristbands.
What are the two types of wristbands?
Well, we have different types to cater to different people. Essentially, one is cheaper. It is the general admission. Now this is $20, lets you into the park, onto the rides. Then we have the World Tour admissions. This is $35, and it gets you extra perks, like jumping ahead in line, taking photos with our excellent mascot, Rory Shelton, and perks like that.
Can you tell the jury any more details about this admission system?
So the wristbands for the two types are different colors per day. So say on Monday, the wristband for standard is yellow, and the World Tour is green. And then the next day, the standard might be blue, and the World Tour might be pink. So it helps us differentiate by day and by type. And the wristbands also have a sequential numbering system on the side to keep track of sales.
How do you keep track of sales at Rock2World?
Well, with that number, you're able to see which number was on your first wristband you sold in the day, and what number was on the last wristband you sold that day. And then we figure out how many wristbands we sold per day, per type.
Where do you keep the data from those sales of the wristbands?
That data then is where I come in. I take what the ticket sellers give me for data, and I put it into an Excel spreadsheet. And then I further publish these into documents for the park to keep track of business, financial records, and such.
What documents is that keep track of those sales?
Well, overall, we have a running profit and loss sheet for each year, basically identifying what types of wristbands, how many of each wristband we sold, how much money we got from them, and then I've also published a 3-year summary report from that data.
What is the 3-year summary report?
The 3-year summary report looks at the years 2010, when I joined Rock2World, then 2011 and 2012. And this simply looks at the general admission sales and the World Tour admission sales for each year.
Would you recognize the 3-year summary report if you saw it in court today?
Definitely.
I am approaching opposing counsel with Prosecution Exhibit A. This is just a copy of the same pen. I'm approaching the witness with the same. Would Your Honor like a courtesy copy?
Okay.
Would you like a courtesy copy? Excuse me?
I withdraw my remark. Go ahead.
Miss Floyd, what have I just handed you?
This is the World Tour ticket and general admission ticket revenue that I was just talking about, the 3-year summary report.
Is it a fair and accurate copy of that document?
Yes, it is.
Are you the custodian of that document?
Definitely, as the Rock2World's accountant, yes.
And finally, Ms. Floyd, was that compiled using relied upon and sufficient methods within your field?
Yeah, everything that I learned at getting my master's degree went into making this document.
I now ask that Prosecution Exhibit A be entered into evidence.
No.
No objections, Your Honor.
Now, Ms. Floyd, I'd like to talk talk to you a little bit more about that document. May the witness step down to make use of the demonstrative at this time. Ms. Floyd, what are the numbers we're looking at on this board?
These are the bold numbers at the bottom of each page of the 3-year summary report. Basically, in the left column, you have the general or standard admission bracelet revenue, and you have the World Tour bracelet revenue, and this is broken down every year.
What is significant to you about those numbers?
Well, as you can see, from 2010 to 2011, in both categories, the numbers have a general increase. But from 2011 to 2012, the standard admission raises, while the World Tour revenue actually reverts to a negative.
Can you tell the jury what exactly those increases and decreases are for each category?
Definitely. From 2010 to 2011, the change for standard revenue was $113,780. But for World Tour revenue in the same time period, they increased by $62,055, which is what anyone would hope for a profitable park. But from 2011 to 2012, that's where things changed. You see, on the standard revenue, we had an increase of $211,760, while for World Tour revenue, it changed and actually went to a negative $27,016 in our revenue.
May the witness retake the stand at this time, Your Honor?
It's your will.
Ms. Floyd, what should the jury know about these numbers?
Well, these numbers are startling because although it looked like we were selling fewer World Tour bracelets, there were just as many, if not more, World Tour patrons in the park from what I could see.
Can you elaborate on that observation?
We have 2 different lines for general admission and World Tour to get onto the rides, and the World Tour lines were just as long, if not longer.
What did you do when you noticed the discrepancy between the ticket sales and the actual appearance of patrons in the park?
I decided to look around at the park a bit more to figure out what was causing this discrepancy. Now, I found on some of the customers that their World Tour bracelets, they were faded, and they didn't have the numbering system that was supposed to be on them. Now, after I figured that something might have been going on in the ticket booth, I went to Cameron Poole's locker, as he was the ticket taker, and what I found in there was quite shocking.
What did you find in Cameron Poole's locker?
I found fake Rock the World wristbands in his locker and discarded general admission passes, real ones, but from the previous day.
What did all of that mean to you as the park's accountant, Ms. Floyd?
Well, from looking at those types of wristbands, it became apparent that someone was selling fake World Tour bracelets, marking it down as a general admission sale, throwing away the real general admission, and profiting that $15 difference.
Now, Ms. Floyd, I'd like to talk
Objection,
to you.
speculation.
At this time, the witness is elaborating on what she concluded had been happening based on her rationally based perceptions from what she found in Cameron Poole's locker, what she had seen in the numbers at the park throughout the year, and putting those things together, what she perceived must have been happening.
Your Honor, this witness can testify to her own opinion, but for her to say that this scheme happened the way she believed it to happen is inadmissible. It's speculation. She doesn't know that that was the way that the park was losing money.
Your Honor, I asked the question, what did all of this evidence mean to you? So this was just an elaboration on what her opinion of what she found was. She is in no way saying this is definitely what happened. She is saying this is what she believed to be happening in the park that summer.
May I respond? Your Honor, if this witness did not see it herself personally, and then she cannot testify as to how this park was losing money in that certain way, Your Honor.
My previous response stands that this is her perception based on the evidence she had seen in the park that summer.
It's, we have an accountant here who works in this type of materials, but then she's given an opinion as to what must have happened. I don't think that you have a proper foundation that can be sustained.
Yes, Your Honor. Now, Ms.
Permission to strike any testimony that may have been elicited about that scheme.
Which part?
And her speculation, opinion about the wristband scheme that happened.
Yes.
Ms. Floyd, with all of this evidence that you found between the ticket numbers and then what you found in Cameron Poole's locker, what did you do with that information?
Well, after I had my suspicions that something was going on, I took my concerns to Mr. Longstreet, the park's owner.
Do you know what J.C. Longstreet did with that information?
Well, he called the police department to report that there might be a problem at the park.
Did you ever find out if there was a problem at the park?
Based on what the police investigated, my concerns were validated in the fact that
Objection, testimony based on hearsay, Your Honor.
Your Honor, no hearsay statement has been elicited from the witness. She is only saying what she learned and how that affected what she believed. She is not eliciting any statement from any outside party.
Your Honor, she's testifying to an outside party, Detective Kimball, of what his suggestions were, and that's based upon hearsay, Your Honor.
Anything else?
At this time, she is only stating what the park proceeded to do after these conversations happened. She is not saying what the conversations directly were.
Anything else?
I stand by my argument, Your Honor.
It seems like the testimony is being now elicited to show that there was something unusual happening at the park. Is there any disagreement? Is there any issue as to whether something unusual was or was not happening at the park?
No.
Okay, overall.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Floyd, would you like me to re-ask the question?
Yes, please.
What exactly did you decide to do after you discussed with this evidence with Detective Kimball and J.C. Longstreet?
Well, Mr. Longstreet and I, decided to place me in the ticket booth to see if that would correct for any improper sales that were happening.
Did it correct for any improper sales?
Yes, this was on August 30th that I was placed in the booth, and by midday, the sales were back to what we should see from previous summers. Essentially, the World Tour revenue, the World Tour tickets were selling more, and the standard admission had gone back down to its regular level.
Ms. Floyd, can you elaborate on what you mean by regular level for the jury?
Based on what we had seen in previous years, the ratio between the two bracelets was back to normal.
And is that based on representative days such as August 30th of the Fall Festival at Proctor World?
Yes, it is.
Now, Ms. Floyd, I'd like to talk to you about August 30th a little more in depth. August 30th, you stated that you were working in the ticket booth, correct?
That is correct.
And how did that day go for you?
Well, initially I was quite excited to do something different and to be able to correct for this mistake that was going on at the park. But at the end of the day, that was when everything just fell apart.
What do you mean everything fell apart?
I saw Cameron Poole coming back to the ticket booth. Now, I had been around when he had been sent home earlier that day, so I could take over the ticket booth. And he startled me, so I went to call security, but I wasn't able to.
Ms. Floyd, why weren't you able to call security?
Before I could reach my phone, Cameron Poole had a knife in my face, and he threatened to carve it up if I didn't give him money. And so I just started to shove money into a duffel bag and hand it to him and just pray that he would leave me alone.
Did he leave you alone after you gave him the money, Ms. Floyd?
Yeah, he took off running, and I was safe, but unfortunately, not everyone at the park was safe.
What do you mean not everyone at the park was safe?
Well, apparently, as Cameron Poole was fleeing, that was when Officer Thomas, who had tried to save
Objection,
me.
speculation.
May I ask what part of this testimony is speculation?
May I ask you to repeat the question?
May,
Okay, the reason I'm saying that is because, for whatever reason, our court reporter didn't show up today, and I can't have that reporter read back the question for us.
Your Honor, I asked why she believed that,
Repeat the question.
why didn't you believe everyone in the park was safe?
Well, as I found out later, as Cameron Poole was fleeing, that was when Officer Thomas was struck by a ride and was killed.
Any objection to that?
Yes, speculation, Your Honor.
Why is it speculative?
Your Honor, this witness has already stated that she was in the ticket booth when she was robbed. She was not at the ride, the Tunnel of Terror, where Officer Thomas was hit. She does not know what happened at that ride, Your Honor. So this testimony is speculation.
May I respond? Your Honor, she is only saying that she found out later that Officer Thomas was killed after Cameron Poole left the ticket booth. She is not speculating as to how that happened or what happened or anything about the actual details of the event, only the fact that it occurred.
Is there any issue that the officer was hurt or killed?
And no.
Overruled. General background. I don't think it's an issue. It's otherwise established by the evidence or by agreement of the parties. So on that basis, I think it's okay to talk about it. It's overruled, I think.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Floyd, once again, can you elaborate for the jury, just for clarity, why not everyone at the park was safe?
Well, after Cameron Poole left me alone, was running out of the park, Officer Thomas was killed by a buggy in a ride.
Now, Ms. Floyd, there's just one more thing I'd like to talk to you about today. What can you tell the jury about the knife that Cameron Poole used against you?
It was a knife that I had recognized. It was a knife that I had seen Whitney Bowman using just the week previous.
No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
Well,